Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Talk Show. I'm Dr. Nik Nikam. We are delighted you could join us, and we are coming to you live on YouTube and also Google Plus on our channel Nik Nikam. That is Niknikam. We'd also like you to download our NNN Media app for Android and Apple devices so that you can watch these interviews on all your smart devices. We would also like you to visit our Facebook page, which is Nik Nikam Network, where we keep you abreast of what's happening in and around town and from around the world. Our YouTube channel, which is Nik Nikam, has more than 800 videos accenting our experience here in the Houston area, and we have close to almost 900 subscribers. So please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell your friends to subscribe to our channels. Today we're going to be talking about movie production, everything that goes on behind the silver screen and maybe many moons before the movie ever reaches the silver screen. And my special guest is Ajay Sarpeshkar, right?
That's right.
Ajay, it's delighted to have you, and
good to be here.
Let's talk about the movies. Being in movies is practically, I think, every child's dream, I would assume.
Certainly, yes, of course. And it was mine too. Well, not in front of the screen, but behind the screen.
Behind? Is that right?
Before I begin, I'd like to thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you. Yeah.
You do a wonderful service to the community by bringing people over and getting them to talk. To give you a little background of where I come from and how I got here, I grew up, for the first half of my life, I grew up in India.
I see, yeah.
And the second half of my life, up until now, I grew up in the United States.
I see, yeah.
And I grew up in a city called Bangalore in Karnataka, in the south of India. A very vibrant city, a very diverse city, and quite metropolitan. And I pursued a degree in engineering, and then I got to the United States to get a graduate degree in engineering.
I see, yeah.
And then I got that, and then I ended up in Houston with a job, and Houston has been my home since 2002. So that's a background in short.
Oh, okay. What got you interested in the movie field?
Well, movies it's always been a fascinating platform for me. Right from when I was a kid, to go back, I've always pursued things that were very creative in its making. Like, for instance, my mom used to always say that I used to fix things that were broken around the house, or create things, or build things. And if you see, movies are a place of fantasy. It gives you a great platform to dream, to give freedom to your creativity. You can put whatever you want together. So that kind of opportunity is probably what drew me to movies, to be able to express myself without any limits.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was listening to, I think it was Ken Robinson, who is one of the most watched speakers on TEDx, and he was talking about how the entire school system is designed to suppress that creativity in the students' curriculum all the way to our master's degrees.
True, I think you're right. It's because the real world is also something that you have to keep in mind. Your daily meal, your home, your cars, your family relies on sadly the monetary aspect of things in this world, and that's something that you have to look at before you jump into a creative aspect, into a creative field. That is always a struggle, unless, of course, your family is in the entertainment industry. So going into engineering, I think, was a great thing that happened to me, in spite of my creative inclinations, because that kind of gave the structure needed to make things happen. As you go into production, like you said,
that's what,
a lot of structure comes into play. A lot of planning comes into play. A lot of collaborations that need to happen, and all of these take a bent of mind that has to be structured, that has to plan ahead. So I think engineering was a good thing that happened to me.
Okay. At what stage did you get started with this exploration of dreams?
Well, it started way back when I was a kid, I think, but
Yeah.
it actually took off when I first got my digital camera
I see. Yeah.
back when I was in graduate school. At that time, the digital cameras were that big.
I
It
know.
was a brick.
Yeah.
It was a brick. I still remember it was a Canon Power Shot. It was
I see. Yeah.
3 megapixels, and it was the size of a brick. It was crazy expensive. It was $800 back then.
I know.
So I that kind of started my interest in photography. Uh, uh, I clicked a million pictures with that camera, and what that did was uh, gave me insight into framing, into
I see.
composition,
Yeah.
into shutter speed, into apertures, into all the technicalities
Technical side.
that go with making a visual happen. So that's where it started. And as you know, digital cameras kind of evolved over
Yeah.
time, and
From still pictures, when did you transition into the
the
next
video
step
aspect of
of
it, yeah,
like a video or something like that?
I think it was 2008 or 7 when these digital cameras then had the ability to
I see.
capture
Yeah.
video,
Uh-huh.
and suddenly I think it opened up a world for aspiring filmmakers, for myself, like
Yeah.
myself, to kind of explore that filmmaking without having to invest a lot of money. So it immediately it was like a Pandora's box. You open
Yeah.
it and there's amazing things inside.
So give us some insight into some of the earlier projects that you have done as far as motion picture or videos are
Yeah.
concerned.
So it all started when I bought the next generation camera where it could do video.
Yeah.
I think I wrote my first film script over a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I had this new fancy tool that could do video.
Yeah.
So the film script was written in a weekend, and thanks to all my dear friends who came on board, we did a little short film.
Yeah.
And it was about the serendipity of finding love,
I see.
and the fantasy of falling in love with the one. So we did that film over a week,
Yeah.
and it was actually one of the finalists at the Gulf Coast Film Festival in
I see.
2010.
Uh-huh.
So we did it for fun over a week. We submitted it, and it was a finalist. So that was my very first film. And after that, I'm not sure if you heard of the Houston flash mob that
Yes,
we
yes,
did
yes.
in, I think, around that time, around 2010. A couple of my friends over dinner, we said, hey, let's do a flash mob, because the song "Why This Collaborative"
Yeah,
was
yes.
very famous, was ultra popular,
I know.
and everybody was, oh, why this collaborative, why this collaborative? So everybody was doing a flash mob. So why don't the Houston people do a flash
Yeah.
mob? So we sat together. A lot of people helped out. A lot of people participated. I think we had about 100 some odd people participate in the flash mob,
Yeah.
which is quite amazing.
That's
For that chilly day in January that we did it. So I said, why don't we kind of push the barriers and make something more entertaining than the traditional flash mob. So I put a little suspenseful drama in front of the flash mob and kind of wrap the whole flash mob in it.
I see.
And people loved it. People appreciated it, and more than people appreciating it, it gave me validation.
That's
On that I could tell a story visually and hold people's attention.
That's fascinating.
So capturing your audience's attention is it's kind of important in films, because you sit for 2 hours in a theater, and if you miss even a moment, people are zoned off.
Like I do a lot of public speaking, and I've attended a lot of public speaking educational seminars and all this. They say if you don't connect with your audience in the first 7 seconds,
they're gone.
They're gone. They're turning you off, and they're not going to
That's
watch you for the next 2 hours, or
Exactly.
however long you're going to be on the stage.
Exactly, and that is disastrous for filmmaking, because you get all these people behind you to work with you, to collaborate with you, and there's so much money involved. There's so many people's time, people's lives are involved in making a film. And if you don't perform, the film doesn't perform, it's such a waste of effort. It's just a waste of people's time.
I have a beautiful story to illustrate that. I'm not going to tell the story, but the opening statement is, Let's imagine for a moment you woke up at 6 o'clock in the evening from your mid-afternoon nap.
Okay.
So the whole thing is right from the first sentence. I am making the audience
Right.
as the main character
Right.
in this particular movie, which I'm going to create with words.
Right. Exactly. You're capturing them right from the get-go.
Right from the
Right.
beginning.
Right. That's amazing. So going back to your question about how I got started on
Yeah.
the projects, the flash mob was a turning point in my life, because after the flash mob, a lot of companies in Houston reached out to me saying, "Hey, we saw this thing, and I think you have that talent to make films happen. So why don't you come and make ads for us?
I see.
Why don't you come and make docudramas for us?"
Yeah.
So that I started on that path, and I did 15 to 20 ads for companies in Houston, and also a couple of short films, couple of documentary dramas for certain dance schools around town.
I see. Yeah.
So that gave me a lot of depth and breadth in terms of dealing with people, in terms of script writing, in terms of structure of filming, and just the practice of making a film happen. And that was invaluable in the learning process.
That's fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Triple N Talk Show. I'm Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking about movies, especially things that happen behind the movie screen. My special guest is Ajay Sarpeshkar. And okay, let's give out your contact information, and then we move on to the real storytelling.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of films planned, and there's a lot of exciting films that are planned. And if you want to know more information, please go visit www.thecinemovement.com. I know it's a long mouthful to say, but there's a reason behind that. So it's again www.thecinemovement.com. Sign up for that newsletter, and we'll keep you updated on all the exciting stuff you're doing.
Let's take us behind the scenes in the mind of a writer, director, producer, all these things that happen before it hits the silver screen, and people say, "Wow!"
Right.
From the concept of a little storyline, walk us through. What are the things that go on, like writing screenplay and all these other things?
Well, it starts off with a small seed in your mind.
Yeah.
When you want to do something creative, you want to create something in this world. I think humans are predisposed to creating things, and that's why you see what you see around after thousands of years of evolution. So that spark, some people work on that spark, some people get lost in the daily mundane routine and ignore that spark. So it starts with the spark, the seed, to create something. And a lot of the stories that people create are kind of wrapped around with the sensibilities that they get growing up, and from people around them, and from the society they've grown up in. So that's where it starts. And then you say, okay, I'm going to sit down and do something about this spark. So you sit down, you write a story to begin with. You include all the drama, all the plot points, act 1, act 2, act 3, and set up conflict and resolution. And you go through all of that stuff and write a story. And then sometimes the story just stays there, does nothing, and you just tell it to your friends and you have a laugh about it. And sometimes it becomes serious, and you'd say, okay, there is some guts in this story. Let's take it forward. So that's when you create the screenplay. And screenplay is more of it's a lot more involved process, wherein you take the fantasy of the story and make it real.
I see.
In this real world.
It's just like an architect's roadmap.
Correct.
For the movie, I would.
Very true.
Because I wrote a couple of screenplays. So.
Yeah, you told me about it. I would love to hear that someday, and hope it becomes a movie someday. Right.
Actually, it's one of them is spiritual. That's Ramayana screenplay.
Okay.
And right after that cruise crisis that happened, Carnival cruise.
Right.
I wrote a cruise crisis like a.
How wonderful. Okay.
I created the whole 90-minute full feature screenplay.
Oh wow. Okay. That must have taken a lot of your effort.
It takes a lot and a lot of research, and Googling and finding out what happened, and all these different connections, and creating different tensions.
Right. Yeah. And you have to be accurate when you write something, because like you said, even if one little thing is not accurate, it throws people off, and they're no more connected to your story. So, so you have your screenplay, you write your screenplay, and then you take it to a studio and you say, hey, look, you knock on their doors and say, hey, here's a great screenplay I've written. And sometimes your screenplay is read, but most of the times it goes into the queue behind another million screenplays that people have written. So, or you say, hey, I have this great screenplay. Let me galvanize my friends and my family and my coworkers to support me making the screenplay happen. And that's where I'm right now, by the way, on my new project.
I know.
So you do that, you garner support, you create marketing material to kind of help do your film pitch, and you pitch it to a lot of investors. And if some people get really involved with the project when they hear it, because it kind of appeals to their hearts and minds, where they come from or what they've gone through in life. So you do that, and say you get a couple of investors together, and that's when you have your pot of money. Now you have the green light to go and make it happen. And then,
so do you come up with a budget for a particular screenplay, and say, okay,
yes, I think I skipped on that. You meet with production homes, and you get the production designer involved. You get line producers involved, and you create a shot-by-shot budget of the locales, of what's involved, the props, the sets, and the acting talent you bring in. It's all in pre-production. So you do all that and create a film budget for it. And so once everybody gives a nod, you start making it happen.
So once you start shooting, how long does it usually last for a full feature movie?
Right. If it's, it depends on the complexity of the script and also how much budget you've got. So you can create, like you said, the Ramayana thing that you talked about.
That's a pretty elaborate one.
Exactly. You can either create something on stage as a gist of that Ramayana, like you said, or do what Raman Sagar did.
That's
the massive huge
production. That's what I use as a foundation. 78 30-minute episodes. Each one of them I watched like 3 times to extract the essence of the dialogues. And then I wrote the screenplay as I was watching those.
Amazing. So you can either create something that doesn't need too many props, sets, too many great actors, and all that visual effects, or you can create something that is massive, like Avatar or Titanic or something like that. So it depends on what you want to do. But typically, a well-planned movie and an extremely structured production, 40 to 50 days is what it typically takes for a feature-length film, for filming to happen, for the shooting to happen. But
so what is the next step?
And for this 50 days of shooting to happen, you would have done about 100 days of pre-production planning work. That's planned
preparation
extremely well, like clockwork.
I know.
So once this 50 days of shooting is done, you then go into post-production, which is another huge task, wherein you're compiling all your visuals to music, to sounds, to background scores, and you do voiceovers for actors and to get more clarity in sound. And editing is another whole different animal in itself. Like they say, the writer writes a story, the director tells a story, and the editor creates another story. So
everything. Who decides? The director, as to what goes in each segment, and
it's extremely important that the director have a very clear vision of what he wants. I'll give you an analogy. So you're creating a great dish. You're cooking a great, amazing dish, a tasty dish. You put in all the ingredients, you put in all the flavors, and you turn on put it on the stove and turn on the flame. The flame cooks all those ingredients into a beautiful dish. I feel the director is like the flame.
I see.
So you have to be steady, constant, cooking all the ingredients, all the different elements, acting, lighting, sound, editing, everything cooks slowly to make something really tasteful at the end. So that's the director's job.
So how long does the post-production take?
It can take, if there are a lot of visual effects, like Bahubali, they took a long time in post-production because there's so much visual effects. If there's no visual effects, if everything is simple and you've got your exact raw footage, then it is a matter of compiling everything together, cutting it the right way, to tell another story. Like I said, the editor can tell a completely different story from what the director intended. Because every visual spliced in a particular way gonna tell a different story.
That's true.
So it takes probably a month or two to make it happen easily.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Triple N Talk Show. I'm Dr. Nik Nikam, your host, and we are coming to you live on YouTube and also Google Plus on our channels, Nik Nikam, that is Nikam. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channels and also Google Plus channel, and visit our Facebook page, which is Nik Nikam Network, where we keep you abreast of what's happening in and around the Houston area and from around the world. And we are talking about motion picture, really life behind motion picture production. And my special guest is Ajay Sarpeshkar, and he is a budding movie director, creator. What would you call your title to be?
Well, I like to write and direct.
Write and direct,
yes. So that's
okay. So what happens? Okay, you got the master CD. Nowadays it's all digital, so you can just you don't even need a CD, DVD, nothing. You can just download it. So from there, where does it go? Does it go to the? How do you market, and how does it reach the theaters?
Well, a filmmaker's journey is a very hard one. If you're not established.
That's why I want people to be get a behind the scenes story.
If you're not plugged into a studio system,
maybe we should make a movie about this.
It'd be a great story. Yes.
Behind the silver screen.
Behind the silver screen.
Life behind the silver screen.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So if you're not plugged into a studio system, life gets pretty hard for a filmmaker if you're an independent filmmaker, because once you make a movie, once the product is ready, you need to distribute it. So distribution is a whole different animal in itself, because there's a completely different business ethics that's involved in film distribution. There's a lot of regions and a lot of infighting of distribution and stuff like that, especially in India. So what people do is create a great product, and again, great products sell. So you create a great product and you take it to film festivals, where hopefully some distributor looks at it and says, oh, wow, this is a great story, and it has good quality content that I can make money off of. So he takes it to his region and distributes it. So distributor buys your film, and then, I mean, they can be multiple
different levels of rights.
Exactly. So he can outrightly buy it, or they can be profit sharing, or it works in many different ways.
That's how Disney, looks at a good picture and say, okay, put our label, and they won the whole thing.
Exactly. So a distributor then sends it to, he has his own theater exhibitors that he sends it to. So these exhibitors are what AMC or all the multiplexes are. So that's where it finally ends up. So that's how you see a final movie.
If one of your movies is successful, does this make life easier? Because now you have more recognition, and maybe you can draw a much bigger audience, and also much bigger, what I should say, dinero or dollars.
You're very right. Yes. Once you have an established movie made, the amount of effort you put in, the amount of drudgery you go through to make a movie is the same. Is the same. But it opens bigger doors for you. It makes your life easier in terms of getting people to commit to your movie for investment purpose.
So you can just focus on your
correct. You can focus on the art. Yes, you can
artistic side.
Correct. Now, to start with, you have to do everything yourself,
like I am doing here.
Exactly.
Thanks to YouTube, Google, and the whole studio was set up, and it's like a one-man show.
Exactly. You're right. You're completely right. And it takes a lot of effort to do that. Like you said.
Well, we have almost 800 videos. I mean, not everything was done in the studio, but almost 200-300 interviews that we have done. All of them are on YouTube.
Which is pretty amazing. Which is amazing.
I had to say thanks to YouTube and Google for providing live video stream. I mean, I make a backup copy using another software, but most of the time I don't have to use it.
Very true. Yes, that's amazing, and it helps the community quite a bit. And people look at it. I've seen some of your videos that you have lawyers, you have
all kinds of people, all
doctors,
walks
you
of
have
lives.
artists come and speak.
Well, last week we talked about
amazing.
cricket. We have almost 150 views on that
Right,
one already.
right. Especially when the T20 is going on.
Yeah.
And that India-Pakistan match is coming up.
I know,
this
it's
weekend.
19th. Yeah. Okay. Ajay, just give out your name and contact information, and then we'll talk about the real project you're working on.
The real project, yes.
Yes.
Well, folks, you can get more information on the film project that I'm working on at www.thefilm. I said it wrong again.
Okay,
www.thecinemament.com. And again, that's www.thecinemament.com.
That is
So,
THE.
thecinemament.com. So you have the marketing material is still being built, and you can go sign up for a newsletter, and we'll keep you posted on exciting stuff that's coming up. The lot has been planned, a lot of exciting stuff coming out of the new film that's coming out.
Okay, let's talk about your dream story that you have been working on, and where it is, and and what are the things that you can discuss.
Yeah, certainly. The movie that I'm making, firstly, the idea of the story came from a couple of things.
I see.
Firstly, India right now is 70% of India is under 39 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
So all these millennials, they're hungry for good content.
Yeah.
They've grown up, and about 50% of them are from metropolitan cities. That means about 500 million people are young, are influenced by Western cinemas, are very cinema literate.
Yeah.
So they're all hungry for good content, and that's one of the things that led to this film.
Yeah.
Is a film in an urban context.
Uh-huh.
Me growing up in a metropolitan city like Bangalore, my comfort zone and my sensibilities are kind of urban in context.
Yes.
So that was kind of the basis of the film. And secondly, gender equality and social equality is something that is that I want to promote with my film.
Yeah.
If you see back in India right now, you see a lot of protests about inequalities for women in corporate structures, in social statuses.
In fact, on the Facebook, one of my doctor friends, a lady friend, and in fact, she mentioned the same thing, because she's not only a doctor, she's also one of the artists who works in one of these serials, TV serials.
Okay.
So she's pretty famous.
I see.
And she wanted to start Women's Doctors Association, because women are getting paid like 30% less than the male physicians for the same kind of job description.
Yep. Very true, very true. So that's another important thing that I want to portray in the film.
Yeah.
And it's alarming to see the misogynistic views that some of the views that you hear from India. It's alarming. So that was another thing that the film I wanted to portray with the film.
Yeah.
And thirdly, the heritage of India.
Mm-hmm.
We have beautiful ancient structures in India that are completely ignored and are undergoing decay. Some of them are World Heritage sites, but if you go there, it's the conservation of it is not up to the mark. It's dilapidated, it's undergoing decay, and people don't care about it. The common man is uninformed about his amazing legacy that exists right there in his backyard.
Some of the temples and structures, they're like 1,000 years old, and they're still standing solid.
Right. They're standing solid but undergoing decay because there's not good conservation efforts around it. So, and each of these, if you include them in a plot line, are amazingly mysterious, right? Each of the temples are beautiful stories can be told around them. So that is something I want to bring through the film. That's another third pillar of the story that I want to do. The story is it's almost like a journey film of adventure, mystery, and self-discovery. So it's made such that we can incorporate the whole of India in context as you go making sequels to the story. So for the first film, I'm trying to set up a platform wherein I include gender equality, social equality, heritage, and in an urban context, and adventure and mysteries. People like it.
That's it.
So I grew up with Hardy Boys and reading such great adventure. So I want to make my film reflect that.
So is this a full feature film?
Yes, it's a full feature commercial film.
Yeah.
And
what language is this going to be?
It'll be in English.
English. I
with
see, yeah.
with a regional flavor.
I see.
So that the regional market gets the most out of it, and also it can see a worldwide distribution.
So are the cast members going to be from the regions?
No, nothing like that. Nothing on that side. It reminds me of Malgudi days. I don't know if you remember. It was something based in south of India, but the actors, and it was in English.
I see.
So it just reminded me of that. So the actors can be anybody.
Yeah, I see.
So I'm trying to create not a regional film, but more of a global film where we showcase India's heritage and culture, and at the same time capture the essence of that region.
Since you mentioned India's heritage and culture, our YouTube channel, Nik Nikam, has more than 800 videos accenting our Indian culture and heritage from the Houston area.
True. Yes, very true. Yes. And all that intellectual heritage you captured, which is amazing.
So we captured like Diwali, Dasara, Holi, Janmashtami, and all the Indian festivals or customs, all these different things.
That's amazing. So the world needs to see that.
Yeah.
It's a balance between a social message and commercial viability of the project. So it's always a very hard balance to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do with this first film.
So at what stage you're in? Does it have a title, working title?
It has a working title, but I cannot give that out right now.
Okay, that's fine.
It'll be.
That's why I said whatever we can.
It will be
disclose.
Yes, it will be. As we go through this marketing effort that we're putting together, online social media presence, it will be revealed then. And there's very exciting marketing effort that's being put around it. And I'm very fortunate to have my marketing team who's young, who's ready, who's gung-ho about making it happen.
So if somebody wants to get involved with the production of this movie in terms of venture capitalist or a financier, how do they get involved?
Well, they can go to the website and send me a message,
or
they can look me up on YouTube, or send me an email at ajay.sarpeshkar@gmail.com. Or they can go to the website www.thecinemamovement.com. So if you Google my name, it's pretty easy to find people these days and get their contact information. Facebook is one such. So there's a lot of avenues if somebody's interested. And it is a very exciting project. And I've done a lot of market research around it to see the viability for investors. So it's a great time to be making such a globally reaching film in English based on Indian context and heritage. So I would urge people to at least come talk to me. If not, if they don't want to invest, but still they can just come talk to me. And
it's fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Triple N Talk Show. I'm Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking about movies, the silver screen and what happens behind the silver screen. And my special guest is Ajay Sarpeshkar, and he's a screenplay writer and also a producer, creator, I should say. So once you get the funding, is this going to be shot in the United States, or it's going to be filmed in?
Well, this particular film is filmed in India. And without giving out too much, it's going to be filmed also in locales around India. Also.
I see. So
outside of India, I mean.
What time frame are we looking at in terms of getting the project onto the street and then to the silver screen?
Right. It all depends on how the funding comes together.
I see.
So I do have seed funding that I'm working off of. And there are a couple of people who are interested in making it happen. So as soon as that pot of money fills up, it's like rolling off a boulder off the hill. It starts picking up speed, and then things happen from there.
That's I was involved in, I think I was telling you before we started, like a 2-minute segment in one of the local movies that is being produced in Houston. I have to mention, I have to promote that because I am in that movie for 2 minutes, or maybe less than 2 minutes.
What movie is this?
90 seconds. It's called Curry on an American Plate.
Okay.
Produced by producer and director Trisha Ray, and her co-producer is San Banerjee.
I see.
And this is from Houston, actually.
Okay.
So I think they're going to go for a premiere pretty soon.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, wonderful. We'll all attend the premiere.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say was that we did 3 scenes. We did one scene in my study room here, and we did 2 scenes in my office. One where I was talking to the person, which was my main dialogue with this person as a doctor. It took like 8 hours for probably less than 3-minute segment.
Right. It's very taxing.
Yeah.
Very, very taxing to shoot and get the right footage. And there's so many variants in filmmaking, be it sound, lighting, actors. There's too many variables. And
so do you just go linearly from one project to the other, or when you're working on one project, or you already contemplating putting seeds in other projects, or creating new stories?
Well, if you're tuned to the life that is happening around you, it's always giving you ideas. Like you just said, the story behind the silver screen is another story.
That's right. Yeah.
So for a movie,
let's put it together.
Yeah, we could put it together. Yes. So things like that. This interview might spark something in my brain for something else. And yes, I do have a couple more stories that's running in my head all the time. Apart from the first film, some people have shelved their projects for 10 years and then come back to it.
I see. Yeah.
Because they've gotten opportunities to do other movie projects. So there's a lot of ideas running in people's mind all the time. And especially if you're a director, if you're a creative director,
that's right. Yeah.
With you want to tell a story, there's always that how can this affect the story? How can this situation be taken and glamorized and put in a different context? So there's always something running in the back.
But that's the main crux of the story, is taking it and making it appealing to the people on a silver screen, taking them on their dream world for 90 minutes or 120 minutes.
Very true. Very true.
And that's what people want to get, get away from the real rat race and just get into fantasy world. I guess maybe that's why Harry Potter movies were so successful.
Exactly. And I love adventure and mystery and science fiction. So that's something that I'm trying to bring in my movies also.
I see,
that adventure and that that tangential path in the world.
Ajay, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we're delighted to have you. Good luck, and wish you the best of luck in getting your project off the ground. And if you need a light man or a cameraman or somebody, let me know. I'll be happy to help you out.
Yes, always.
And ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Triple N Talk Show, coming to you live on YouTube and also Google Plus on our channels. Nik Nikam, that is Nikam, and tune into our project, our talk shows next Wednesday and every Wednesday between 6 and 7 p.m. on our YouTube channels and also on Google Plus. Until that time, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.